Hey, 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 everybody. Hey, hey, everybody. Back at Studio A, y'all. Back at Studio A, Pastor Al. Good day. It's good to see you, Mommy. I hope everyone is doing well. We are back home, safe and sound. Yes, we are. And so my glasses are filthy. So let's take care of that real quick. Let's yes. My producer gives me a drum roll for cleaning the glasses. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Nan. Let's celebrate the seeing clearly. Yes, yes, we need to see clearly. So, eyes here, eyes ready. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Lindsay. Let's go, Nan. All right. So, we had a wonderful time in Minneapolis. I'm going to share. I meant to share two pictures yesterday, and then I got caught up and forgot. So I'm going to share them today in a minute. And so yesterday we talked about the work, right? And that was inspired by Prince and one of his songs called The Work Part 2, Part 1. And I shared the clip of him performing that song on Jay Leno. And we played that out yesterday at the end of the show. And so I just, when you say something, you're like, oh. So right then I said The Work Part 2, right? But the song is called the Work Part 1. But I like this The Work Part 2 because it's in alignment with this series that has been percolating for quite some time. And the song wouldn't let me go. So that's the song. That song kept playing in my head over and over and over again. I'm on the plane, I'm humming the song, and I had my earphones on, so I wasn't quite aware how loud I was humming. And my producer says I'm not a whisperer. I think I'm whispering in the house, and one of my daughters is upstairs in school. And I think I'm whispering to him, and she could hear our whole conversation. She's like, I can hear you. And I'm like, but I'm whispering. He's like, you don't know how to whisper. Well, apparently I don't know how to hum either quietly. And so I was humming the Works Part 1 on the plane yesterday and caught myself and said, okay, what is this all about? Why can't this song leave me? And so I woke up this morning, and what was percolating was a new series. Excuse me, was a new series that's been dancing around me for quite some time. And I think it's finally coming into form. I think it's finally coming into form. And it may be The Work Part 2. That's not what I was going to call it, but I think that's what I'm going to call it now. It's the new series is The Work Part 2. That's the new series. And there'll be some subtitles to that as we go along. So, a couple of things I want to share, and then we're going to get into The Work Part 2. And that is being in Minneapolis. It's an interesting city. We were at a diner, and I asked the waitress, like, what's the food? I don't know about y'all, but when I go to a city, I'm all into the food. I am all into the food. And so I asked the waitress, so what's the food in Minneapolis? Like what is it? Like, what are your, and she goes, well, actually, as far as food is concerned, it's the land of bland. And then we had breakfast, and I was like, oh, she's right. It was bland, right? It was bland. And then you have that, and then you have the energy and the spirit and the vibration of music that has been, the presence of Prince is everywhere there, And so you have that, you have that vibrancy of his spirit also felt in Minneapolis, at least in a lot of the places that we went to. And one of those places was Paisley Park. So I want to put up that picture of this was Marco and I at Paisley Park on Saturday. And this was in one of his studios that he did a lot of his music. And that piano, that purple piano behind us, was gifted to him. And the funny story is, when they gifted it to him, it was the wrong color purple. And he sent it back and he told them, no, you got to get the color purple right. And so they worked on the color and they worked on the color until they got it right. But that picture of Prince is one of the last photos that he took. And it's bigger than life. And the energy in that place is bigger than life. And so we was just so blessed to have had that experience, because my husband and I are big fans of Prince. My husband especially. I think he's seen him in concert at least 25 times. So the other thing that really stirred my spirit being in Minneapolis was going to what is now referred to as the George Floyd Square. So this was not planned. We went on a tour on Saturday morning with a gentleman who knows a lot about Prince. So we had this private tour around Minneapolis to see things that were Prince related. And he asked us, do you want to go to the George Floyd Square? And I immediately said yes. And so this is a picture of me in front of the very famous mural of George Floyd. And the whole block has turned into a memorial, but also I can't even think of the word, but this was my feeling. And I had shared this with a couple of people being there. I was sure that I was going to feel devastated. I thought I would cry and I would feel anger and sadness and pain and all of those things. And instead I didn't. I was very surprised that I felt togetherness. I was surprised by this. And before we went to part of the George Floyd Square is this other area that's adjacent to it, where it's an open field. It's a pretty small field. And on the field are these made like a plastic material of tombstones. And on each of the tombstones are names of people who have been killed due to systemic racism, and their names, their age, and the city where it happened. And it's just a representation. It doesn't have every single person, but it was about 50, I would say. And again, when I saw it, and there's a sign that they have in the grass that says, say their names. And when I saw that, again, I was readying myself to be very emotional. And the emotion that came up for me was peace and love. And again, this sense of togetherness. So I've been sitting with that since having that experience. And I'm still, processing it within myself. But I just wanted to share that because there's something, and I think we could feel the energy of it, that is being birthed through all of this pain, through all of this violence, through all of this death. There's a rebirth that is happening. And I felt the energy of that being at the George Floyd Memorial Square yesterday. And basically the people of that city have taken this block and have taken ownership of the block, because the city wants to reopen the block to traffic and stuff. And people are just saying, no, that's not going to happen. And it's just something to witness. So if you happen to go to Minneapolis, it's worth going and just being in that presence. So I talked about this way longer than I intended to, but I just had that on my heart today. And so I wanted to share that. Okay. So, yes. Yes. So Prince, we went to what is now called Graffiti Bridge, where people are writing love notes to the memory of Prince. And what Sekou just put up was what I wrote on the wall. It's at Riley's Creek, I think it's called Riley's Tunnel. I think it's underneath the highway. And so I wrote Prince equals joy because he does. And so, yes. So thank y'all for just letting me get all of that out. I really appreciate that. So back to the work, part 2. So what's been percolating for me is habits. Habits has been percolating for me. And I don't know if it's percolating for you, but I think it is, because otherwise I don't think it will be percolating for me, because we're all connected. We're all connected, right? And so when I think about the work, part 1, Prince's song, that line, I'm willing to do the work. Tell me now, what about you? Right? Are you willing? I asked you that yesterday. Are you willing to do the work? And Gladys said, I'm willing to do the work, right? I'm willing to do the work. And so when I think about work, it conjures up habits for me, because when I observe myself throughout the day and as I'm doing my work, it contains habits, right? My work is a accumulation of habits that either inform what I'm doing, or somehow takes me off track, right? I have habits that inform my work, and I have habits that kind of take me off track. And so I've been observing this about myself for quite some time. And I looked up the definition of habits, and this is what it said, the dictionary: an acquired behavior pattern regularly followed until it has become almost involuntary. An acquired behavior pattern regularly followed until it has become almost involuntary. I said, okay, yeah, that is a habit. But then I scanned down a little bit more in the dictionary and came upon what they call what's the word? Archaic. The archaic meanings of habits, or the archaic use of the word habit. So these are kind of like the meanings that we don't necessarily think of, or that come to mind present day. But I think this is the perfect definition, and this is the way that I want to start holding habits. So the archaic meaning of habit is, or was, state, style, practice, and to dwell in. I like that. I like that because it's right to the point. What state am I in? Right? What's my style of working? What's my state of work? What's my style of working? What's my practice of work? And what am I dwelling in my work as I work, right? Being my work. And for me, that's all of my habits. That's all of my habits. So, work, tell me now, are you willing to do the work? Is what Prince invited us to take into contemplation. And then I thought about habits in the sense of covenants, because we had our whole series. We had our whole series last week on covenants. And aren't habits a covenant? It's something that we agree to, right? Either consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously. Habits become our covenants, right? And remember, covenant is a binding promise of far-reaching importance, a pact, an agreement to act together in harmony. So are your habits acting together in harmony with your work, with what it is that you are here to do? Do you have harmonious habits or disharmonious habits? Right? It's something to look at, to be curious about, right? To witness for ourselves, about ourselves. And so the other line in that song, The Work Part 1, that's been sitting with me is this lyric. The work is not an easy task, but this is the work we must do for revelation to come to pass. So, what are your habits? Are your habits in alignment with your work? So, I'll confess, right? Here's a confession from Rev Melissa. One of my intentions for this year, well, longer than this year, is around rest, right? And I've been talking about this. You heard me talk about this, right? And rest is wrapped up in well-being for me. And so getting enough rest, meaning for me, I need a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep to feel rested, right? On an average, I probably get between 5 and 6 hours of sleep, right? Because of my habits, right? Because of my habits. So I'm looking at these habits, this state of beingness that I put myself in, right? My practices, what I dwell in. And so let me give you an example. It's brand spanking new last night. We got home from Minneapolis. When we got home, I had to drive my cousin to Brooklyn because she was here staying with my girls and the cat, Davy. And so I drove her home. I got back home. It was probably, I don't know, 9 o'clock. So a harmonious habit that would be in alignment with rest would be for me to, shower, get myself ready for bed, do my evening prayers, and get myself in the bed, right? That would be a good habit, right? You know what I did? I went out to get something to eat, right? It's after 9 o'clock, y'all. I went out to get something to eat. So now I'm eating at like, I don't know, 9:45 at night. Then I decided, well, I can't go to sleep now because I just ate. And it's not good to go to bed right after you eat, right? This is how the mind works, right? Here we go, right? I said, let's turn on the TV. So then I turn on the TV and I said, oh, this will be a good time. Now it's after 10. This will be a good time to watch Handmaid's Tale, right? Any Handmaid Tales out there? The season just started, right? So I had already seen 2 of the episodes on the plane, right? I downloaded it on my phone. So I watched 2 episodes on the plane. So the 3rd episode I hadn't watched. I said, I'm going to watch The Handmaid's Tale. It'll just be like an hour. That'll be a good time for my food to digest. And then I'll go to bed, right? So I watch it, And those of you who watch The Handmaid's Tale, it's a pretty disturbing program and one that I don't advise watching before you go to bed, right? But there I am, right? So that goes off. Now it's going on 11 o'clock. Go to bed. Rev, go to bed. I'm going to watch one episode of The Godfather of Harlem because I love Forrest Whitaker and he inspires me in the mind. Chit chat. Yeah, isn't Forrest Whitaker, isn't he such a great actor? Let's just watch one episode of that. Okay, yeah, let's do that. And then your food will be good. Your food will be really good and digested. And Davy's on your lap now. And you know the law. The law is if Davy's on you, you can't move, right? That was the law that Zola made up. If the cat's on you, you can't move. So here's Davy on my lap. Oh, I can't move. Here we go. So let me just watch one episode of The Godfather of Harlem. You see this? You see it's going. It's going. Is this in alignment with rest? Mm-mm. But it's a habit that I have. I used to blame this habit because that's the other thing we do. We look for people to blame or things to blame, right? So you know who I used to blame on the habit? I used to blame Jon Stewart on this habit of not getting enough rest because the Daily Show with Jon Stewart would come on at 11 o'clock. So I would say, let's just stay up and watch the Daily Show because it's really smart programming. And you don't watch the news, but you could kind of get a sense of what's happening through this smart program, right? Mm-hmm. So I would stay up and watch the Daily Show. And then Jon Stewart left, right? And I thought, oh, good. Now you could go to bed at a decent hour, right? Mind you, I could watch the Daily Show anytime, right? Anytime. I have to watch it at 11 o'clock when it comes on. Here comes Trevor Noah. What? They chose a Black man to do the Daily Show? Oh, well, I have to just watch this because who thought that would happen? I was sure it was going to be. And there I go. Now I'm still up watching the Daily Show with now who? Trevor Noah. And he's cute. So that's a little eye candy before I go to bed. Y'all see, what does that have to do with rest? But this is how we get lulled in, right? Our mind lulls us in and makes it all seem like it makes sense, right? It makes it seem like it makes sense. And so I'm saying to myself now, because clearly Prince is speaking to me from beyond, are you willing to do the work? Right? He said, I'm willing to do the work. What about you? So I have to look at myself in the mirror this morning as I woke up later than I wanted to because I was tired. And then I'm rushing because I'm tired. And then I had to reset everything up because we were away, right? All of this is happening, right? And what is my intention? I have an intention to develop and cultivate a habit of rest because rest is in harmony with my sacred covenant to myself to do my work and to do my work from a place of rest and joy and well-beingness, right? So let's look at our habits. Let's look at our habits this week just to observe, not to criticize ourselves, right? Not to make ourselves wrong, but just to observe, right? Emmett Fox talks about this a lot. His book, the 7-day mental fast or something like that. Just to observe our thinking, observe our thoughts, watch what we are doing, right? To be curious about it, to just have a curious mindset about it, right? Just pay attention. Just pay attention. So that's what we're going to do this week because this is all, I just love the way spirit works because it's all in alignment from how we started 2021 off, right? Being clear about our intention, our quality of God that we are cultivating as for 2021, right? We spoke it into existence, right? I am quickening, I am well-being, I am abundance, I am expanding, right? I am prosperous. These were some of mine. So well-being is important. Thank you, producer. It's a 7-day mental diet by Emmett Fox, right? He talks about observing, not complaining. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, I'm going to talk about the complaint thing in a minute. So, how about this? How about this? A little homework, a habit homework. Start a list of your habits. No judgment. Positive. Now, I'm not going to say positive and negative because that's so not what it's about. Harmonious habits and disharmonious habits. The habits that are in alignment with your work, right? With what it is that you desire to do and to be in the world. Yes? Just start a list. They say a good habit when your intention is to eat healthier. And I'm not going to say to lose weight, to eat healthier is to keep a food journal, right? To just write down the things that you're eating. And as you're writing them down, you're looking at it, that gives you a good sense of, okay, this is what I'm doing. Oh, okay, these are the things that I can start to change. And over time, and it doesn't take long, you start to make healthier choices for yourself because you can see it in black and white. So just start a list of your habits, all of them, and just check out which ones are in alignment, which ones are in the covenant of a binding promise of far-reaching importance and agreement to act together in harmony. Which of your habits are acting together in harmony with your work? That's it. Let's do that this week. And I want to end with this line from that song, The Work Part 1. Whatever's in your way, and our habits, our disharmonious habits are in our way. They're in our way. Whatever's in your way, we got to go through it to get to it. I'm willing to do the work. Tell me now, what about you? And I love that he says, tell me now, today. Tell me now, not tomorrow, not when I do a 30-day, because here I go. I do these things too. I'm going to do a 30-day rest challenge where I'm going to go to bed at 9:30 every night, right? Now, what are you going to do now, Rev Melissa? What time are you going to go to bed today? Today, just one day at a time, just one day at a time. That's all I can really take right now, y'all. Is one day, one day of working with this habit to transform it into a habit that is harmonious with my work. Because I'm tired of feeling tired. I am so tired of feeling tired. So I have to make healthier choices for myself. And that could just be me. Everybody in the congregation of joy could have harmonious habits that are working in alignment with your work. And this is just a Melissa issue. I take that. But if this strikes a chord with you, if you see yourself in this, and it could be a different habit, whatever it might be, let's just get curious about it together. Okay? All right. So that's where we're going. The work part 2, habits. Habits, y'all. So there's your homework. List out your habits, harmonious habits, disharmonious habits. We're looking for alignment with our work. All right. All right. So there we are. There we are. And even in the midst of all this, y'all, guess what? I'm still living life in joy and I'm still connected to my yes. And you're still connected to yours, I am sure, because you are willing willing to do the work. All right. All right. So let's get into some joy news. All right. So this Sunday is a two-for Sunday. Yes, you know how I love a two-for Sunday. It is May 9th. This Sunday is Mother's Day. And I am turning May into Mother's Month instead of Mother's Day. And I'm also aware that May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're going to be doing some living life and joy shows focused on mothers and focused on mental health throughout the month of May. And so my guest this Sunday is Carla May. She is the founder of Balance Therapy, and she calls it soul therapy also. And it's a combination of her work in massage, birth, and wellness. She is a master doula and she is a womb advocate. And so she's going to come on the show on Sunday and share her joy work with us. So please tune in May 9th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on New Thought Media Network. And then at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I will be the speaker at my spiritual home, Rockland Centers for Spiritual Living. And my topic is revolutionary love. So please join me for that. Then May 12th at 4 a.m. Eastern Time, you know what we do? We meditate with the moon. And so May 12th, we will be meditating with the new moon on Zoom, y'all. And it'll be live streamed on YouTube. And so I'm going back to Zoom so we can have more interaction with each other. And if you want to participate by being on YouTube, you can do that also. So I'll have the link tomorrow for everybody. Okay. Please support my ministry of joy. You can do so by purchasing things from my joy line or at my Etsy store. I am iamrevmelissa, joy mugs, t-shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve that say live life in joy, connect to your yes, as a reminder, right? As a reminder, our joy and our yes, and joy socks. So please check that out. Also support my podcast, Sit with Rev Melissa. The latest series that is up is the Spiritual Partnership series. So please check that out. And that's available on your favorite podcasts. And you can also support my ministry of joy by love offering. You can give at Cash App or Venmo at I Am Rev Melissa. I appreciate the love offerings. Okay, so let me just check in real quick with my producer because he has something special, y'all, going on this week. So let's hear what's the news. What's the news?
Yeah, so I assume you're talking about Fisk.
Yes.
All right. There's a lot of things going on. But yeah, so some of you know that I have been working with Fisk University. About a year ago now, I produced my play. My play is called Brown Boy Mad at Fisk University. We had 2 showings. And so I've been embedded with them since then, kind of. And so this week, from the 6th through the 9th, they're doing a play called Facing Our Truth. And actually, it's a series of 6 10-minute plays, but they're all inspired by Trayvon Martin. So they're all created quite some time ago, but they're all obviously relevant now as they were when they're created. And so I've been embedded with them and going to rehearsal and doing things. I don't want to give away my role, but I've been working with them quite a bit. And the tickets are on sale now. It's just the bit.ly link. It's just bit.ly and then Facing Our Truth. So bit.ly Facing Our Truth. So go buy a ticket. They're only $5. And the way it works is you're renting the show. So you spend $5, you rent the show, and you can watch it anytime you want between the 6th and the 9th. So there's no particular show time. You can watch it in your PJs early in the morning, right after A Handmaid's Tale, to try and balance you out. So that's what's going on, and please support it. I'd appreciate it. The students would appreciate it. I want to make sure that they recoup the money that they spent to put on this play. And also, there's no studio audience. Like, we've been recording the play in an empty theater. So this is a COVID type production, which is a little bit different than years past. So that's what's going on with Fisk. And then also, I just wanted to comment on the sip. I can't let it go without commenting on the sip. So you were talking about habits, and I noticed that, except for Nan, no one said anything. It was crickets over there in that chat. And I just want to double down. I know it's hard to think about. I know it's difficult to think about. But what Rev Mel and I are talking about, and we're both talking about it in our own way. Yeah, exactly. So Nan's on it. Like what you have to understand, and what I have just come to recently through my readings about neuroscience. And sidebar, Sekou is reading books about neuroscience. I mean, can we just sidebar for that? For those of you that don't know me, I've spent my life reading fiction, and I've actively avoided nonfiction of every kind. Now I'm reading about neuroscience. So there's some growth happening there. But neuroscience is fascinating and terrifying. And the punchline is your brain is not really your ally. Like, it's not really your ally. Your brain is focused on trying to keep you comfortable. So anything you do to move yourself to a higher level. So in Rev Mel's case, to try to get some rest, your brain, it will create convincing excuses to keep you still because it doesn't want to be bothered with any extra effort. Like, think about how busy your brain is. It's regulating your blood pressure, your heart, it's growing your nails, it's regenerating cells. It's busy. And so its response to new stimuli is to say, nah, we're not doing that. Let's create some convincing excuses to keep her still and to keep things the same. So like that is really fascinating and also terrifying. And I'll just give one example from my life since you gave a personal example from yours. So as some of you know, like my affirmation has been, I am habituated abundance. I am focused on being abundant. And I've been taking up golf again here in Nashville. And golf, as many of you may know, is an expensive sport. So anyway, I don't have any clubs. I didn't bring my golf clubs down from New York. And so I picked up something at a 5 and dime store. But my friends were saying, oh, you should just go to Play It Again Sports and buy some golf clubs. And immediately my thought was, I can't afford that. I can't afford to go buy some golf clubs. I didn't say it out loud. I caught myself before I said it out loud. But immediately my mind was like, you can't afford that. You can't afford to go buy no golf clubs. Golf clubs are expensive. Immediately and consistently. And so then I finally went there. Play It Again Sports is named Play It Again Sports because they're used golf clubs. So the golf clubs were $10, and I didn't know that until I had to push past my excuses to get there, like your mind will just do whatever it takes to keep you still. And so I just wanted to double down on that. So do your work, join the work part 2, and remember that the work, a large part of the work is going to be fighting against what your mind tells you all the time. All right. So that's all I want to say about that. And go support the show.
Yes. Thank you, Sekou. Oh, yes. It just goes. And the other thing I just want to share that I started doing this. When my mind starts to go, I physically do this to bring my awareness to the fact that my mind is just going. And sometimes that's enough, although it wasn't last night. I didn't do this last night. But many times, I would say 9 times out of 10, if I start doing this, it brings my super conscious, let's say, into like, oh, let's go, right? Just having something that will trigger a different response, right? Because our habits, tomorrow, y'all, we're going to talk about the triggers in our habits also. We're going to talk about that too, okay? All right, I'm getting ready to go. All right, y'all. So thank you, Lindsay. The brain is a tool that you have to use or it will be automatic. Yes. I'm going to sit with that, Lindsay. I'm going to sit with that. Okay. All right, y'all. So I'm excited about this series, the work part 2, habits. So today, homework, just list out your habits, harmonious ones, and the ones that aren't in harmony with your work. All right. I will see you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, right here on New Thought Media Network. Peace and blessings, peace and justice. We're living life in joy, connected to our yes.